There's a reason we're willing to spend money meddling in conflicts overseas, but we're apprehensive to spend money saving Americans here at home. There's money to be made. There's money to be made on equipment, artillery shells, bombs, planes being built, but there's little to no money being made saving Americans from Fenty or rescuing people that are stranded in Appalachia, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. Hundreds of billions of dollars are spent picking which puppet governs over us, but really what they're governing over is the transaction flow. Who will be the selected figurehead that will determine which way taxpayer funds decide to go, which sectors, which businesses? And when you realize that bureaucratic decisions result in private sector profits, it all makes sense. Here's some highlights from today's show of wearechange.org, where I talk about this exact point as it relates to all the hurricane disasters.
It's like the thing about the United States, and we pretend like we're saving Americans by getting involved in all these wars overseas, yet there are actual Americans dying here. And the thing that I keep thinking about is like, there's no money to be made saving people in Appalachia and saving people in Georgia. There's no money. There's no bombs. There's no visual. Like, look at all the news outlets. They want to show you rockets going off. There's money to be made there. The rockets that are being sent, those are money that's being spent. There's no money to save people in Appalachia. So that's why they just don't care about it. And the only way that they would care would be if there was enough of an uproar that it jeopardized Kamala Harris's ability to get elected.
And the financial benefit of her in office would be that she determines which direction the taxpayer dollars flow.
The fire in Maui was a surprise, right? It was an accident or whatever. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But a hurricane is known about days in advance. It's like, you're telling me that the most advanced technology systems and the most advanced government in the history of the world couldn't tell the trajectory of this thing? Like, one thing that's so great about Ron DeSantis in Florida is, like, when they know that a hurricane's coming, he was posting images days in advance of all of the electricity trucks lining up, all the linemen lining up, and they were already positioning people and to anticipate a bad thing happening. So it's like, if we're reacting to this days later because it's a once in 100-year thing, it's like they saw it coming. It's not like it just was a wildfire that just burst out. So that's something to be to think about as well.
And since they could have spent resources to anticipate and or protect Americans at home, it makes you wonder, could it have been intentional, or could they have contributed to it? And this goes a little deeper, but now we say they meddle overseas because there's money to be made. Well, could geoengineering come into play so that there could be money to be made here? We talk about that in this clip.
It's funny because I think a lot of people kind of put geoengineering in the same category as like flat eartherism, where it's like, I think it was in Dubai a couple months ago, they cloud seeded there to try to get some rain, and it like flooded out all of these hotels and whatnot in Dubai. It's like, this is a obvious, blatant example. They've done this at the Olympics, so this is a very real thing. It's like, if you would destroy your population as obviously and clearly as they are already doing, is it really that far out of the scope to think that they wouldn't maybe angle and or contribute to the strength of one of these things to use it for all of their existing narratives? They certainly have no problem destroying us in every other category.
Yeah.
And it really makes you wonder, because so many bureaucratic decisions seem to result in there being a financial benefit or a financial gain to someone. So try to think about it in the same way that you would solve a murder. Motive means an opportunity. Opportunity, an existing storm system, a divided country, a contentious selection coming up, a lot of news happening at the same time where you could hide in plain sight. The means, we certainly have the means. This has been well documented for many, many decades. And last and certainly not least, motive. Could there be some land grabs, perhaps some valuable mines that would be worth acquiring? And is there money to be made there at the expense of the American citizens? Something to keep in mind as you ask yourself why these things keep happening.